Hey everybody, welcome to another factoring video, and in today's video we're going to be factoring the difference and sum of two cubes. So in the top left corner over here we have the difference of two cubes and the sum of two cubes, and these formulas is something you guys should memorize, but there's a little trick to help you out. A little acronym called SOAP, and it stands for same, opposite, always, positive. And how this applies is, look at this. So our first sign over here is the same as the sign, I was saying that the sign in the first set of parentheses is always the same, hence the S, as the sign in the original equation. Then O stands for opposite, which means the second sign over here is always opposite of the sign in the original statement. And then always positive means that the last sign is going to be always positive. Simple as that. And this also applies to the sum of the two cubes, not only the difference. Okay, so let's start off with this very simple question, question 1. So first, we're going to need to identify our A and our B. And to identify our A, we're going to have to take the third root of the first term. Our first term is x to the power of 3, and if we take the third root of that, so we're taking the third root of x to the power of 3, we're just going to be left with x. So our A is going to be equal to x. And then to find our B, we're going to have to find the third root of the second term, which is 27. So the third root of 27. And you guys can do this in your calculator, but it's always very good to have these simple roots memorized. So the third root of 27 is just 3. And now if we follow the formula using same, opposite, always, positive, I'm going to leave the formulas for now, but you guys should really memorize them. It'll be very important. Okay, so our A is x, our B is 3. And since this is the difference of two cubes, we're going to be using formula number 1 over here. So we have same, so we're going to have x minus 3. Then we're going to have a squared. So our a is x, so if we square that, we're going to get x squared. So we already had same, now we're going to have opposite. Opposite of negative is positive, so our second sign is positive. And then we have a times b, and if we multiply x times 3, we're going to get 3x because our a is x and our b is 3. And then the last sign is always positive, so we have plus. And then we just have b squared, which is just 3 squared, which is 9. And this is our final answer. And we know this is our final answer because we're using the difference of two cubes. And a little hack is that once you factor using the difference or sum of two cubes, the polynomial is always going to be in the simplest factored form. So for example, you can't factor any of this anymore. This is just going to be your final answer. Okay, now let's move on to number 2 following the same process. So in order to find our A, we need the third root of term number 1. Our term number 1 is ax cubed, so we have to find the third root of that. And the third root of 8x cubed, so first we have to find the third root of 8, which is just 2. And then we have to find the third root of x to the power of 3, which is just x. So our a is simply 2x. And then to find b, we once again find the third root of the second term, which is 125. 125. And the third root of 125 is just 5. Now let's apply the formula. So notice how, unlike the first example, this is the sum of two cubes. So we're going to be using formula number 2. So we're going to have same sign. So we're going to have 2x plus 5 now. Plus 5. Then we're going to have a squared and opposite sign, which is negative. So our a squared is 2x squared. So 2 squared is 4, x squared is x to the power of 2. So we have 4x squared minus ab. We just multiply 2x by 5 and we get 10x. So we have 4x squared minus 10x. And then our last sign is always going to be positive. And finally we have b squared. B is 5. If we square 5, we get 25. So this is our final answer. And remember that it's not factorable because we're using the sum or difference of two cubes. So you can't factor this answer anymore. All right, example number 3. It's a little more challenging, but I think we can do it. So our a is once again the third root of term number 1. So we're gonna have the third root of 27 x to the power of 6. Okay, so now we're dealing with some larger numbers here. So first we find the third root of 27, which is just 3. And then we need to find the third root of x to the power of 6, which is just x squared. So our a will be equal to 3x squared. Now for our b, which is just the third root of the second term, so we're going to have third root of 8y cubed. So the third root of 8 is 2, and the third root of y cubed is just 3. Okay, so I hope you guys are getting the hang of identifying the a's and the b's. The next step would just be to apply the formula. And notice how we have the difference of difference of two cubes, just like we did in the first example. So first we're going to have a minus b. So we have 3x squared minus 2y. We're using the first letter in the word soap, which is s, and that means same. So we have the same sign as the original problem. And then we have a squared. A is 3x squared. So if we square 3, we get 9. And if we square x to the power of 2, we get x to the power of 4. Learn the rules of exponents, guys. Okay, our next letter is O. So that means opposite. So opposite of negative is positive. That's why we have plus. So we're going to have AB. So just 3x squared times 2y, which is just 6x squared times y. And then we have always positive, so our last sign is going to be positive. And our last term is b squared, so we have to square 2y. And if we do that, we get 4y squared. Okay, and this is our final answer, guys. I hope you were able to follow along and you're slowly starting to get the hang of this. Okay, now I would like you guys to try this last bonus question. It's a little bit challenging because there's an extra step. So pause the video and give this a try, and I'll be back in 3, 2, 1. Okay, so as I said in my previous videos, whenever you see a factoring question, the first thing you should think about is there a greatest common factor? And if we look at this, yes, there is. The greatest common factor of 16x to the power of 3 and 54 is 2. So we can take out 2 from here, and we're going to be left with 8x to the power of 3. And 54 divided by 2 is 27. So you guys can see after doing this first step, the original problem simplifies already very nicely. So now we're just kind of going to forget about the 2 for now and identify our a and the b. So our a is once again going to be the third root of the first term. So the third root of 8x cubed. So the third root of 8 is just 2, and the third root of x cubed is just x. So we got our a. And then our b is the third root of the second term. So the third root of 54. Oh, sorry, not the third root of 54, the third root of 27, because we're talking about the problem after we take out the greatest common factor. So the third root of 27 is just 3. Okay, now you can probably notice that I erased the formulas. I want you guys to try to do this by yourself without looking at the formulas to see if you memorize them. And after you tried solving it by yourself, come back to the video. Okay, so since we're using the sum of two cubes, we know what formula we need to use. So we're gonna have a plus b. So we're gonna have 2x plus 3. Remember the acronym SOAP? Same, opposite, always positive. We have the same sign as we do in the original problem. And also, don't forget about the 2 over here. The 2 just comes down. And this is going to get split up into here and into the other set of parentheses. So then we're going to have a squared, which is 2x squared. So we have 4x squared. Then we have the opposite sign, which is negative. So we have the minus sign. AB, which is just 2x times 3, which is simply 6x. And then always positive, so we're going to have the plus sign. And we're going to square the b term. So 3 squared is just 9. So here we have our final answer. Okay, you guys can notice that the 2 doesn't go anywhere. We just kind of forgot about it when we were identifying our A's and the B's, but the 2 is still always here. Okay, I hope you guys enjoyed this factoring video. In the next video, I'll probably do my last factoring technique, which will be to factor the sum of 2 squares, which will involve imaginary numbers. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.